Okay, we're going to start the talk on live streaming now. And we had to nip round and have a look at the sign to see what the talk was actually about, because every time we started talking about this, we've got bogged down in detail and forgotten to look at what the headline is. So this is a talk on live streaming with two very experienced practitioners who I'll get to introduce themselves in a minute. So if people would like to take their seats for the live streaming discussion. So I'll just wait for 30 seconds while the last couple of people sit down. Come and enjoy a chat on live streaming. It's much warmer here.
It is.
You'll notice we've got lights here. It's much nicer on the stage than it is around the rest of the place. They do serve soup at the back, which will keep your hands warm.
After the talk.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. So you don't want to soup and talk at the same time. Right. I think that'll do. That's enough people to keep me.
Yeah, I feel.
Keep us all interested.
Yes.
Hello, my name's Richard Payne. I'm head of technology for Holden. And Kit Plus kindly asked me to host this. They said, you're not famous, interesting, or good looking, but would you like to sit on the stage and talk to a couple of people about streaming? And I said, yes, of course. It will get me out of standing there talking about Kit for a while. So I'd like to introduce Jon Pratchett and Alex Pettitt, who are proper professionals in the world of live streaming. And I'll get them both to introduce themselves and give you a bit of a bio so you know exactly who they are and what they do. So Alex, as you're furthest away, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. So as Richard introduced, my name is Alex. My company is alex.live, and we concentrate on interactive live streaming and have done for a number of years. Mainly, so I started with Twitter Live, and that's how I built my profile up and then built out my company. But anything from Twitter and Periscope, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and more recently Twitch as well. So we've been doing it for a number of years and built up quite a roster of fantastic clients and knowledge in that area as well.
And you know, some of the work you've done took us right up to date. You were talking about the fight over the weekend.
Yeah, so we did the Wilder Fury watch-along at the weekend, 1.4 million views on YouTube. We had about 75,000 concurrent viewers on that one. And we do things for the Premier League. So we have a weekly show called The Kickoff that that one's slightly different. It's like a conjoined thing. Knock out the kickoff, and we're co-producing for the FA at the moment, which is the FA Cup Draw Show, which they've now renamed this week to just the FA Cup Show. They want to widen it out. So, yeah, we're doing quite a lot at the moment, mainly sports-based.
Mainly sport, and it's what we'd probably call real sports.
Yeah, rather than sort of esports.
Esports.
And I love esports. We tend to concentrate on watch-alongs and content around sort of sports that are actually happening in front of you.
And Jon,
yes.
You're of course well known to Kit Plus audiences everywhere because you've been running the interviews. You're normally the one asking the questions rather than answering them.
This is
so I'm quite looking forward to this. This is a lovely about turn. So Jon, introduce yourself. With regards to this talk, what would you say your role is and what sort of things do you do?
So in my normal job, when I'm not hosting videos for Kit Plus, I am a technical guarantee unit manager for a lot of live productions, whether it's TV or internet-based streaming, doing an awful lot at the moment in esports. So I'm a unit manager for Call of Duty World League, the current Formula One esports competitions that all go out through live streaming. I do international live streaming for Google, so the stuff that you see happening out of Europe and such like. I'll be a technical guy, as my bio says, as you said when you look it up, and my job is to try and make everything work.
That's right.
So whether it's whichever section in, join it together, make it work.
And ironically, Jon is actually live mixing the audio for this show as we talk. So he puts into practice what it says on his LinkedIn bio.
And I didn't think I was loud enough, so I'm turning myself up.
I mean, it's quite interesting that we've got, you know, the two of you here, one doing real sports, concentrating on sort of commentating and watching and reaction to live sports, and one doing esports, which is very much a buzzword in our industry at the moment.
It is.
But we've got all elements covered. But what sort of audience numbers? I mean, you said you had 1.25 million hits with the fight over the weekend, Is that average? Is that a sort of for the FA show?
Yeah, I mean, it can range very much on the event. So Wilder Fury was obviously a big ticket event. You know, we did Conor McGregor versus the name of it wasn't Fury, it was the other one. Anyway, the other big the boxing match where Conor McGregor.
Yep.
We did 16 million views on that one, which was huge on YouTube.
Wow. Right.
The weekly football, which covers the Premier League, on the kickoff, that is around 500,000 views will average on those streams. So it depends on the event that we're covering very often. The FA stream for around the FA Cup, the last 2 shows on that have been 1.2 and 1.4 million on that as well. So yeah, I mean,
these are really decent numbers.
I mean, the
terrestrial broadcasters would be happy.
The interesting thing for the FA show is that it's live streamed exclusively on Twitter. So to get 1.2 and 1.4 million on Twitter is really impressive. But it just shows like these platforms are really gearing up to support and get live streaming out there.
Right. And John, what sort of audiences can you? It's an easy way to sort of equate how popular these things are. So for something like Call of Duty, what are we talking
frightening.
Really?
The numbers are quite staggering. So obviously there's 2 ways of looking at it. There's your concurrent views at the time of going live, so the people who are watching it there and then obviously the beauty of, especially of the internet and you know, Twitch and other things like that is, and YouTube, everything's immediately available for on demand, and that's where obviously you get your big numbers in. Certain things like your Call of Duty World League will be looking at 6-7 million worldwide concurrent.
Wow. Right.
So we're looking at people across the world there and then tuning in. But that's Call of Duty. Online afterwards, for the downloads, we're hitting between 15 and 30 million, depending on what the game is. It's just ridiculous in esports how many people will go. Average age, 10 to 20.
This is what's crazy.
I think this is key, isn't it, for the live stream market? This is the demographic which the broadcasters are having huge trouble trying to reach.
So my godson is 3 years old. Rather than watching Disney and things like this, he's watching Twitch and he's watching streamers, and he's loving it. And so like this is the way that we're shifting. It's this. I can't fully see why. I get it. But at the same time, like, it's certainly the way it's going. It's certainly the way that if you look at all the analytics and all the data behind it, this is the shift that we're now going. We're moving away from like linear TV and sitting in front of a desktop box to watching things on our mobile and watching things being live streamed through these platforms.
Well, as this is Kit Plus show, there's absolutely no point in us talking about how broadcasting is changing without talking about the actual kit which we're using. So Alex, what sort of equipment is involved in you putting together one of your shows?
Yeah, so we work out of a studio just on the other side of London. And it is I'd say 95% based Blackmagic setup. We've got everything there. We use A10-4ME, everything. It goes into a 40x40 video hub, and that makes our lives so much easier because that basically means we can route any video to anywhere in the whole space. The interesting thing about that space is it's actually a flat. It's actually someone's home that lives there, and we've converted it completely into a broadcasting studio as well. So we're very Blackmagic based. It's all shot on 7. We have 7 Ursa Pros, 4.6, and a couple of micro cameras as well. And we do some B-roll on the Blackmagic Cinema cameras. And then sort of to get it out onto the internet, we just use a video. Which one do we use? Video Pro?
Video
Pro, but it's the mobile version, the Go version, sorry.
Yep.
Right.
So yeah, that basically allows us to live stream 1080p 50. So we stream to YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook.
So how do you go currently to multiple
We use
channels?
a fantastic tool called Grabio.
Right.
So Grabio allows you to do multiple things, one of which is you can multi-stream to multiple platforms at once. So as many pages and as many platforms as you can think of. And the other thing it allows you to do, which we use a lot and we find hugely beneficial in the live streaming market, is it allows you to live clip. So you put to create clips of your live show and then post them out across socials. And across all of our shows, we found it hugely beneficial because what you're able to do is, if you've got a clippable moment, so I'll take this weekend as an example, the moment where Tyson Fury basically batters Deontay Wilder, we're doing a watch-along reaction show, so we've got 5 gents around a table going absolutely crazy for this moment where he hits the deck. And that right there is a perfectly clippable moment, so we've just top and tailed it through Grabio, posted it out across straight away within about a minute of it happening on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and that's just racked up like another 30,000 views for us that we can then present to a client. So that ability to live clip, it also, we can put links on that clip as well, so straight away, anyone who wasn't watching the live show but has discovered that clip can just click the link and continue watching the live show with us. So we found it as a great way to bring people in as well. For anyone that wasn't watching the live show.
It's really about grabbing people's attention.
Yeah. I mean, we've done, it doesn't have to be as hard-hitting as a knockdown in boxing. We've put out 3 to 4 minute clips where the guys are talking about, is VAR a good thing, bad thing? And actually, it's more of a debate. So it's not like an in-your-face clip, but more of a sit-down. And again, that has caused huge reaction online because we're sparking a conversation by using the clip from the live stream, and it's often continuing in the Twitter comments, and then we're trying to find ways of bringing those people back into the live stream as well. Right. And that's where, like, Jon will kind of agree to this as well. The live, as important as your actual live stream is, so is the live feed of comments. Yep. Because it's a two-way conversation with live streaming. It's all about what you're showing the audience, but then what they're giving back to you in terms of what they want to see, and even to the point where if your feed goes down, you're going to know about it because everyone in the chat's just going to type F. They'll just tell you that they can't see anything. So it's a great two-way conversation that you're constantly having with the viewers.
And Jon, what sort of kit are you using for esports? Is it similar sort of setup?
It does come down to the scale of the event.
Right.
When we are, yes, there is an awful lot of black magic kit still involved in esports, which is great. It works very well, and they have some pieces of equipment that just is blinding for esports. Part of the issue with esports is, one, the players who are actually playing the game in competitive mode are very, very specific about how everything must react to them on screen.
So are they prima donnas, would you say?
I wouldn't say, yeah, okay, this has been filmed. Of course not. But
right.
These are people who can tell the difference between a wired and a wireless mouse, because a wireless mouse has too much latency on it.
Right.
Now, normally when you're streaming out something out live, you're not too worried about, oh, well, by the time it's come from the camera and through the system and back out there's 200 milliseconds of latency or something like that, because people watching don't mind. And if you're on real sports, this guy's kicking a football round or something like that, they don't mind. But a gamer, he's watching on a monitor that is now 144 hertz, which completely throws us broadcast people out of the thing.
What shutter speed do you need for 144 hertz monitors?
Fortunately, we're not filming the monitors, but they are. If you run a 144 hertz monitor, they're doing this, they want 144 frames per second effectively coming from their game. And you can't say, here's 144 frames per second feed, can you go and stick that into your ATEM, please? Because
it's very true.
As good an ATEM is, even with its up-down crosses, it's going to go, no way. So there's a lot of other complications that we have to get around of. So splitting out, there's ways of doing it, giving them 144 hertz, but we need a 60 frames per second, 1080p 60. We must do everything at 1080p 60. If we go a frame below that, the audience go, what's all this rubbish you're sending out? It's like, that's 55 frames per second. That's not 60 frames per second. Right. And so we use a lot more converters involved in there. Splitting out up-cross HDs are fantastic for esports because they have a nice HDMI pass-through on them. So as long as you've done a fancy bit on PCs and we've got an 1080p 60 coming out into that, they'll pass through virtually latency-free, which is fantastic. And then we can get that into a system. If we are, for the smaller gigs, yes, ATEM, mainly because of the super sources.
So what is a super source?
So a super source, imagine on your standard switcher, you've got your you've got your upstream keys, your downstream keys, and you've got a DVE, which will allow you to put, let's say, a picture-in-picture of the gamer over the top of his game.
Yep.
That's all well and good. You can put that up there. But you're adding a DVE to one of your keys. You're setting that key to go. You're putting it in place, and you're setting it all up. The beauty of the SuperSource in the higher-end ATEMs is that effectively you've got 5 DVEs there altogether that you can then add in. For example, you might want, if you have a look at Sky Broadcasting, they'll use L brackets all the time, which are basically graphics that wrap around the screen. The reason they do that is they don't want anything over the picture of the football. People don't want that. They'd rather have a smaller screen with the whole image, and it's the same on the game.
Right.
So people don't, when you're watching esports, it's all about the game. It's not about the players so much. They want to see the game. So, but we might want to put information about the player around that. We might want to put a picture-in-picture of the player out of the way of the game. And a SuperSource will allow you to take a graphics feed in, take a game feed in, reduce it in size, keeping its aspect ratio, take in a camera feed in, that's 16:9, cropping it to something like a 1x1 square, moving that into a position, adding another layer of graphics over the top, a bug or something like that if you want to, and then having it all as one key on your Vision Mixer. So it acts as a camera feed. So all you have to do is cut it up, which is great because then you can transition into it really nicely and transition out to it. And as far as the operator is concerned, he's got cameras 1 to 8, he's got a graphics, he's got a VT, and he's got his SuperSource, which is everything that you want.
And what about the final stage for encoding for the web? So,
yeah, so encoding-wise, again, we're talking about people who are very specific about how things look. So when these guys who are playing a Call of Duty game at 60 frames a second at home want to see something as good as gameplay on a stream. So we only use hardware encoders, and we use a couple of brands. For the higher-end stuff, we use Intonor, which is a high-end encoding hardware solution, and arguably, in my impression, one of the best, probably the best encoder out there for this.
What are they called again?
Intonor.
Intonor.
Intonor is the manufacturer.
I did actually Google them after you told me on the phone, and I couldn't find them.
I'll send you the link. They're there, Intonor.
Intonor, right.
Very, very good encoders used for point-to-point. ESL use them. We use them at Gfinity. They've got them at BT Tower, which for us is great because we can send straight to BT Tower. The other brand we use is the AJA Hilo. Again, in my opinion, it does what it does very, very well. I look at how, not just that, can it do 1080p 60, but how well does it do 1080p 60? And it can deal with the fast movement really well. It can deal with everything that happens, the saturated graphics that you have on a game very well. And that's again, a hardware encoder. So we only tend to use hardware encoding. Software encoding, we find, doesn't really cope that well with esports.
And what about on the camera side? What do you use to shoot?
So cameras is a mixed bag. Most of the stuff I do is we're usually into the higher end, big competitive side of things. On those, we will use Sony, Panasonic system cameras like you would on any large TV show. So they're coming in SMPTE fibers, they're going to a rack engineer, and then we're taking the feeds from them. Usually on the bigger stuff, certainly at Gfinity Studios and the arena in Fulham, that's completely NDI based.
Right.
So
using PTZs for that?
We are not using PTZs. We are using currently Sony system cameras over SMPTE to rack engineers.
Right.
And then they are coming out HDSDI 1080p 60, and they are then getting converted into NDI.
And why NDI?
Very good question. There is a number of advantages. When you are talking about an awful lot of sources that you have, so if you think about it in esports, we will have you at the F1. Yeah. For example, we had 20 feeds of games coming in.
Right.
We had 2 feeds of observers, which are guys who are basically observing. If you notice in games, sometimes you can get observer mood, you can like hover around over the top of whatever's playing and have a look. So in Formula 1, you could be like that. You could be a camera guy. So that's 22 feeds of game we got in. We've got about 10 camera feeds coming into that. Then we've got VT. Then we've got graphics. And the beauty of NDI is if you can get all that onto NDI, you no longer have any routing issues.
Right.
It's sitting on a network, and any device that can see an NDI stream can say, oh, I want this key on my mixer to be that camera, I want this to be camera. No more going into a router and routing things from here to there. Everything is available.
By the way, does everybody know what NDI is? We're bandying about this term. Yep.
Got a couple of shakes of the
That's
head,
good.
so maybe an explanation.
Yeah.
So NDI is video over IP. It's been around for a while now and been getting better and better. The beauty of it, there's been video over IP for a long time. The beauty of NDI is it's effectively one frame of latency from the SDI source coming into an NDI being available. So imagine it, you create yourself a network and you plug in your new tech TriCaster, VMC1 over there, your Vmix system, your Wirecast system, something that'll understand NDI. You plug it in there and you go, add NDI source. It'll look on the network and it can say, oh, I can see this, 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 and this. Which one do you want? And you can go, I want this camera and this camera. So it's converting your standard SDI feed to an IP stream. It just did very well. It does it at a reasonably low bandwidth for the quality that you're getting, but more importantly, it does it latency free. There's no point having everything, that one, if you convert it, being 150 milliseconds, and that one being 200 milliseconds, everything's out of sync. So it's a great way of getting video onto a network infrastructure, and then if you've got NDI compatible systems, you can look at it.
So actually, Alex, your sort of system is probably more traditional in a way, ironically.
Yeah, we're all over SDI. And to be honest, the only reason that we aren't NDI is because we are so heavily reliant on Blackmagic, and they don't natively support NDI yet, and who knows whether they will in the future. And that's really the only reason for it. I would love to use NDI. There's a few projects in the past where we've looked at using it, but really it's just scalable to how big your network is. And so for large locations and arenas and things like that, where it's covered by an existing network anyway, it's brilliant because you just plug everything in to the existing network and that's it. Everything shows up. Everything sees everything.
Yeah, it is good. The only issue with NDI you have to be careful of is you can think, oh, fantastic, I'm going to put 20 different sources onto my gigabit Ethernet network and wonder why you're having problems. It's still using up data, still using up bandwidth on your network. Right. So you do have to, certainly for something like what we've done, Gfinity has up to 120 sources of NDI. That's a lot of data over a network.
So Gfinity, so is this the Fulham place you were telling me about?
So Gfinity is probably one of the largest, if not the largest, esports content providers in the UK. You may have heard of ESL, which is the Electronic Sports League, coming out of Germany, really. So they're kind of Europe, and this is kind of the UK side version of ESL. So they run and host competitions. So Major League Gaming, which is the US side of things, they look after the Call of Duty World League. They have Gfinity do the UK side of it. Formula One have a season that they do in esports, and that's run at Gfinity. And there's an arena at the Fulham Broadway, which uses it was their largest screen, is no longer a screen at the View Cinema in Fulham Broadway, and now is a big arena for esports.
Right. That's interesting. So both of you two are very much on the sort of technical side of putting these systems together in order to make this happen. And what I wonder, from a more traditional broadcast world, is how are people actually monetizing, making money out of internet shows on Twitter, on Twitch? Is it advertising? Is it more sophisticated than this? Is it from selling the games which you're playing with esports?
Yeah, I guess this is more of a me question. Well, firstly, a lot of these platforms have built-in monetization features. So if you look at YouTube, if you look at Twitch, they have a monetization scheme built into the platform. So you run pre-roll ad, post-roll ads. We're experimenting more and more with mid-roll ads as well. So we'll cut to a slate while we're live. So for example, when we do the kickoff, if we're doing 2 games, we're doing a 12 p.m. kickoff, and then we're doing a second game after that one at about 3 p.m. kickoff as well. we have to physically switch over guests. So we found that that's a perfect time where we'll put up a countdown slate to the second stream starting. We know that that's a great time because people are going to stick with us to stick a mid-roll ad as well. We retain maybe 95% of the audience, and we get all that money as well. So we're experimenting with the monetization platforms that are built in to these platforms that we're using. Then, of course, you have brand partnerships and sponsorships. So there isn't any for the FA. It's all funded by them at the moment. If we look at something like we're doing with the kickoff, that is currently powered by BetBall, which is a betting company. And so partnerships is a great one. And there's other monetization routes. You can go down the Patreon route as well if you're just starting out. And a lot of live streamers, especially Twitch streamers, seem to use Twitch as the advertising platform that they use. And then on top of that, they'll start like a Patreon or I can't think of the word for it, but it's basically where your viewers, if you have your loyal viewers, they will subscribe to give you a monthly amount of money to continue doing it and get bonus features on top. Membership, yes. Thank you for whoever shouted that out. So yeah, there's a few different monetization models, let's say.
Is it the same in esports?
It's usually funded by the...
Yeah, as Alex says, a lot of the stuff, certainly stuff that we're doing, is funded by the game developer themselves or the distributor. So
it's an advert for the game.
It is an advert. So the Formula One stuff is Formula One sponsored.
Right.
The Call of Duty is Activision, for example, would be sponsoring the Call of Duty tournaments because it comes under their marketing budget. It's basically raising awareness for the game. We do have a lot of sponsorship from hardware manufacturers in the gaming side of things. So you'll find sponsorship ads and things like that. So it's almost kind of typical broadcast in that sense, in that on those scale of things, it's Formula One saying, here's a load of money, we want to do a Formula One competition, and then you'll get HP Omen come in and say, yes, and here's some, make sure you use HP Omen PCs, and you'll get Astro come in, make sure you use Astro headsets, that sort of thing.
So is there any difference in the production? Do you tell your cameramen to work in a slightly different way because what you're delivering is live on the internet, or is it really exactly the same as if it was a normal TV broadcast production on terrestrial television?
From my perspective, it's very similar. In the end, we are using camera crews who would come straight out of doing Strictly Come Dancing or something like that, and they could be coming in to us. We are run like X Factor, like a TV show. The set looks that sort of scale. It's slightly different in that we sometimes have gamers who are not used to being on TV, shall we say. So there's that side of things. But as far as comms from the gallery to the camera crew, stage management, all that sort of stuff, it's a TV show. So it looks exactly the same.
Alex?
Yeah, I think, again, it depends on the project. If I take the FA Cup show that we're doing, it's more down that route where we try and run it a bit like a TV show in the crew and everything like that. We have running orders. We have schedules to keep to for the day, exactly the same as you would do in TV. Where it is different, and it's funny, like one of the things that we're trying to do for the next show, which is at the beginning of March, is one of the bits of the feedback that we had was the show would sit perfectly on Sky Sports, but it's on Twitter, so we have to try and dumb it down a little bit. So we're changing, one of the terms used was remove the glass, and like we can't physically remove the camera glass, but how can we get it so that the viewer almost feels like they're in the room with us? Because it isn't TV. They're watching it on social, so we have to try and make it look different in that aspect for that show. But then if I take the kickoff and the knockout, which are watch-alongs live streamed on YouTube, and they're live streamed on a YouTube influencer's page, so he has a very loyal, dedicated following. The very first thing I can remember from walking in the room and starting that project 3 years ago was, if it's TV, it's wrong. We have to do everything opposite to what the TV are doing, because this is a social broadcast, and this is on YouTube. So we're ripping up the rule book here, and that's very much what we've tried to do. We've tried to get it as far away as from anything you would see on Sky Sports, and create something new. Now, funny enough, Sky Sports are now copying us and have now live streamed their own version of the show on YouTube because it's done so well. So yeah, hopefully.
Would you ever consider shooting portrait format instead of landscape? Or?
Yeah, I mean, so we've experimented with live streaming through all the Blackmagic stuff to Instagram Live. We had the ability to test that for a while, and so we shot it all portrait and we're live streaming on Instagram Live. It was really interesting. I wouldn't say that the viewing figures was there yet, because again, when you're live streaming on to mobile, it's very different from linear broadcasting, because when you watch TV on linear, it's like, okay, I'm going to sit in my chair and I know for the next half an hour, all I'm doing is staring at that screen as a viewer. When you're watching as a viewer, watching a live stream on, let's say, YouTube or Instagram Live, you're probably going to watch 2 minutes of that before you get a WhatsApp message from your friend, before you then get a Twitter notification, and it's just constant barrages of anything that can take you away from that live stream. It's also, things of the comments. You might see a comment that you disagree with, and then that's it, you're out. And as soon as a viewer exits out of the broadcast, it's almost impossible to get them back in. So the way that you watch linear TV is very different from the way that you would, as a viewer, watch a live stream. So yeah, we're always experimenting with these things and trying to learn what are the right methods of doing things to keep the retention high and things like that. But it's a constant learning curve. And also the great thing, just to finish off, the great thing about live streaming is that two-way conversation. So very often, the viewers will tell you what they want. Same in esports. Oh, yeah. Esports is one of the biggest examples, because if you look at the chat in esports, it's like, show X or show Y, because they are telling the director they want to see this. Yep. For the FA around the World Cup, we did a daily live show from Russia. As part of that show,
we'll do some at the end.
As part of that show, we did live training. So we live streamed the England team's training. And all the comments on that, and we completely flipped what the show was because of this. All the comments were, show Lingard, show Rashford. And funnily, one of the biggest things was, show goalkeeper training. And so we were watching all these comments in real time, and I was in the presenter's ear saying, well, they want to see goalkeeper training. So we got the camera to go over to the goalkeeper training, and he was commentating on the goalkeeper training, and then the comments are like, this is great. So you're having a constant dialogue, even as the director of a show, with the audience to show them what they want. And really, it's the only form of broadcasting that I can think of where you're able to have a constant feedback.
So how do you technically do that? How do you sort of show comments as they come? What sort of graphic systems do you use? And how do you filter them? Because out of Twitter,
that's an interesting one. So if you look at any YouTube stream, you're going to have 20% idiots in the comments.
20%?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I'm being generous there. Yeah. So we would have someone physically in the comments on YouTube moderating them. So if there was anything really offensive, they would be removed off of YouTube. Now, in terms of what ones we picked to show on screen or to visualize, or what ones we gave to the presenter to read out, we have a software that we can use to do that very quickly that is able to pull in the comments. We also had a team of 2 people who were constantly monitoring the comments, picking out the right ones, throwing them into our graphics engine ready to visualize very quickly, but also throwing them into we have a live scripting app. So it was quite interesting. I was actually directing the show from my office in London on comms. It was all done through the cloud, talking to the camera guy. It was just a team of 3 out there in Russia, talking to the camera guy and the presenter, and we were producing this show in real time. So even though I was directing it in London, they were actually out in Russia making it.
This is virtual production.
Cloud production, which is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's really.
Is it the same for you? How long before you can stay at home and do Call of Duty in Russia or
I'm
anywhere
kind of
else?
hoping, as I'm not a director, I'm kind of hoping that I'm not going to be staying at home, because that usually means they've got everything working and I'm out of a job.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it is slightly different to us. We are TV, effectively, on the way we do things. Talking about the comments-wise, as Alex implied, esports comments and things are very directional.
Right.
You mean ruthless?
and ruthless. Absolutely ruthless. A lot of them, as I say, 10-year-old kids who are just throwing up rubbish. So once you filter that lot out, it is great to be able to redirect what's happening on the show floor to fit with comments and things like that are coming in. And if you start, we look at trends. If we start to see a trend of comments coming in, we think, okay, it's not like just one person do this. Oh, I don't like that. If we look for a trend of comments, and we'll react appropriately to that. But a lot of the time in esports, we are the competition as opposed to covering a football match, for example. We are the football match. So we have to go with the flow of the football match. But it's great to be able to have that interaction with the viewers, especially like in between games, in between, a typical football match, you'd come out half-time and you'd have the guys in the studio talk about it and things like that. But now we can take in, comments and things that are coming from the chat, from the people who are watching, and bring those up. We would use a graphic system. Either on the higher end, we use the ROS stuff. But I love, absolutely, as a toolbox, I love a piece of software called Vmix, which I don't know whether you know. It's a one-stop shop to get you out of jail on all sorts of things.
Very true.
Would I use it as my main vision mixer system and switch? No. But pair that with an ATEM, and you have a super powerful system. So we take in Twitter feeds and things like that. We can take it into Vmix. Even if we've got a higher-end graphic system sitting there, we also take it in on Vmix. More often than not, the Vmix is always running perfectly. Just giving out. So we can do animated graphics. It gives us key and fills. It gives us NDI out. So even NDI, in case you didn't know, can send out transparency as well. So effectively, an NDI feed can be a key and fill, which is great if you've got a software that supports it. So yeah, we'll take in comments and things, and we can overlay them. And even high-end stuff, we'll have a Vmix system there. Low-end stuff, we'll have a Vmix system there, just to be able to do stuff.
So what about to make your lives easier? We talked about the new sort of macro boxes and things in the call when we discussed what we're talking about during this. So what pieces of kit make your life easier?
We're going to say the same thing, aren't we?
Go on, I'll let you go first.
Oh, right. So there is a piece of kit that came out a couple of years ago by a company called Elgato called the Stream Deck. Has everybody heard of the Stream Deck? It's a little box, a little unit, it's now a bigger unit as well.
Yeah.
But a 16-key unit. It was designed, when they brought this thing out, for your little YouTuber gamer at home to be able to program this thing. It's got LCD keys on it, to program it to, I don't know, switch to the game view, switch to a camera view, start your record, that sort of thing. Some people, in their infinite wisdom, created an application. It's an open source application called Companion, which basically means that you can have this Stream Deck, which is, imagine you've got 16 or 32 buttons now, all individual LCD screens, effectively, that you can then say, I want a button to do this on your ATEM, this on your Vmix server, this on your Behringer X32 mixer or XR18 mixer. If you've got a projector, this on your projector, and have it all happen with one button. It can control multiple things. And
these aren't expensive, are they?
These are not expensive.
£120, I think.
120 quid. And you will see them everywhere. In events, whether it's guys doing iMag stuff and they're just running QLab for sound, or they're running this and that, they'll have...
I've used them with Wirecast demos, just when somebody says, I just want one button I can press to go to Twitter.
Yes.
And you just give them one button which has a picture of a little bird on it. You press that and it streams.
Yeah.
But it does 5 things behind the scenes.
It's a remarkable piece of kit, and you can get really quite into, how much can I do with a single button? And this is the thing. I mean, when we're doing a larger event, we've got 30 people in the gallery.
Right.
We don't need Elgato Stream Decks because I've got 2 people just looking at a flipping script to make sure we're all going online. We've got 2 vision mixers. We've got a guy calling it. We've got loads of people, but that's not majority of live streaming these days.
We have 3.
Yeah, 3.
So when we're doing the shows, we have 3 people in the gallery.
Yeah.
It's we've had a real scaled down team. So we have a director, a producer, and me, just to make sure that we are still online.
Yeah.
And if we're lucky, we have someone in who's doing those live clips and posting it out to Twitter, so doing those social elements as well. So minimum 3, maximum 4.
And this is where something like that is ideal.
Yeah.
So, for example, here we're using, you may have heard it, it's made by a company called Behringer. Midas do it. It's called an XR18 audio mixer. It's a little box like this. Great little box. It doesn't cost a massive amount of money. you can take in all our mics, and we're auto mixing, which is why we're not cutting across it. It's doing that automatically. But you can control it by Stream Deck. So you can have your VTs coming, your VT player, whatever it is, coming out into a set of inputs on this, which is then going out into your encoding and switching. And you can say, whenever I hit the VT button, switch to my VT channel, unmute the VTs on my XR18, and play it out of Vmix at the same time, which is three people. Your VT player job's gone, your audio engineer's job gone, and your vision mixer guy can just do it with a button.
So eventually, this box could replace you, John.
Still need someone to plug it in.
Ah, thank God for that.
Yeah, and program it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just a box.
So what do you see as the future to where this technology is moving, or where the stuff you're using, the kit behind the scenes, how can it get better? What would you want it to be able to do?
I mean, I think there's two ways it would go. Number one, I think the kit will become more accessible to beginners and newbies. I think we're seeing that with, again, I use Blackmagic as an example, but the A10 Mini. It's a £250 box, which is now really making multicam production accessible to pretty much anyone. You can plug up to 4 HDMI cameras into it's got an up-down cross converter on it, so it'll take any HD signal, whether it be 720.
Or 4K, it will scale 4K.
Will it scale 4K down? Yeah, it might do.
Down to 1080. Yeah.
Down to 1080p, 60 is the max. And then over USB-C, you take that straight in over USB-C to a laptop and can stream straight from there to the web. So I think we're seeing that happen in one side, where it's getting rid of the barriers to entry. And when you've got something like that with an Elgato £120 box that you can perform multiple ways. I do an MBA-based podcast, produce this MBA-based podcast. Everything I need fits into a Manfrotto bag no bigger than this on wheels, and I take it up to London to do this podcast every week. And in there is the A10 Mini, Blackmagic Cinema 4Ks, and a Rode Podcaster or Procaster, whatever it's called. And that is crystal clear audio, 1080p, 60 video. We live vision mix it and put it up to YouTube 2 hours later. And like that has sped up the workflow massively, because now I don't have to spend a day filming it, come back home, multicam edit it in whatever I use, DaVinci most of the time, and that's my day gone. Now it's like on the train, go and quickly film it, I've live vision mixed it, come home, upload it, done. And that's it. Yep. And I think that's the way that a lot of this technology will go, where it's reducing the barriers to entry so that hopefully our jobs don't go, but kind of anyone can at least get into the industry.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion is, I don't want to be too Blackmagic here, but the A10 Mini, as far as I'm concerned, is a bit of a game changer when it comes to entry into streaming. You look at it, and this is the issue that you have, though, I have with a lot of kit. You look at it, and you think, oh, it's a vision mixer with 4 buttons on that, 5 or 6 buttons on there, and okay, I can get something online with it. You don't actually realize the capability of the unit, because there's an awful lot of stuff behind the scenes that you can't see. It's got a Fairlight engine in there for audio.
Yeah.
It's got a simple thing that...
Decent chroma key as well.
Yeah, decent chroma key. And I come from... We haven't talked audio much at all yet. When till we get into that? But if you get an normally, what you'd have, if let's say, for example, you've got your audio coming in, you're working on a small scale, you put your audio left and right into a camera like we've got up here, and you feed that into your vision mix, and you think, oh, I can take the audio from it, and then you listen to it, and you've got, oh, his voice is on the left, oh, and his voice is on the right. Well, you don't want them like that. You want them mono on each of them, and you think, I can't. What can I do with that? Oh, well, I've got to put it into an audio mixer and then feed it in. But A10 Mini, you can split the audio and on the HDMI left and right, channel 1 and 2, and say, make each of those mono with individual level controls. Yeah. And you don't see that on the front of it. There's so much power in this thing.
All this is driven by software.
It's there. You just plug in the normal A10 software, and you suddenly think, oh, I can do all this on it as well. I mean, you look at it, and it's nearly the full of. You've got a mini constellation.
So, basically, this millions of pounds of equipment you used to need to run this sort of stuff is now being done by a £250 box. So I better get a night job with bar work.
Well, that's the thing.
There's a slight difference, but yes.
I do. I think back to, so I really got involved in certainly the live streaming space when I was at university, and like me and 2 other guys founded our campus TV station. And I remember we kind of got like a grant for maybe £3,000 or £4,000, which at the time got us an A10 television studio, like the basic model. Well, I'm pretty sure the A10 Mini can do more than that now. And yeah, so that's just the way that it's going. You're getting more for your money, and they're just making it simpler and simpler to get into these spaces, which I think is great.
Yep.
Well, I don't know, do you want to discuss audio a bit? You mentioned
I think we should
I must
discuss
admit,
audio.
I'm terrible. I'm an ex-cameraman. Pictures of the thing. Audio bores the hell out. So I'll just go and have a little sleep. So audio is obviously very, very important.
It's really important. Otherwise, people will be falling asleep now because they wouldn't be able to hear us.
Do you think people forget that? And do you think with a lot of the live stream stuff, audio becomes the poor relation and
it does.
And suffers as a result?
It does. I'm a very big advocate of good audio as well as good video.
Yeah.
There is a risk when you come to one of these sort of places that everybody's talking to this. Just look around you. There's so many cameras. And pictures are great, and you need good pictures. But you also need to be able to hear what people are saying. You need to hear commentary if you're in esports. You need to hear gameplay properly. It's that makes it immersive. Otherwise, you're just watching a flat 2D picture. So from an esports perspective, audio is a big challenge. We have a lot more than just a couple of mics on people. We've got to think about how we're getting the game audio in from 12 players, all playing a game, each one in a different Call of Duty. Let's use Call of Duty. Everybody's in a different position on the map, doing something different. Therefore, their audio is different for that person's audio. Okay?
Right.
We've got to think about how, when we watch that view, do we get the audio from that player. Then you've got team chat, like you have on Formula One.
Yeah, so it's like them talking to each other.
Talking to each other. We want to go, well, let's go into the team chat and listen to them. So that's now 6 people, because let's say there's 6 people in the team. We've got to take a feed. How do we get in the team chat in? How we then? So we are each game is a stereo feed. Then we've got another 12. We've got those team chat. How are we creating that? On Formula One, you then have it's done. Imagine you was watching a real Formula One. You've then got the team manager talking to his 2 teams. And you want to pick that up as well. So let's hear what's going on to that conversation between that car. And then on top of that layer, you've got your typical comms. We've got our presenters in ears. We've got our presenters' mics. We've got our roving reporter mic. And all this audio, which we've got to get in sync with all the video and out so it sounds decent.
Complex.
And that's why Jon gets paid the big bucks.
And like NDI, we use, which is video over IP, is Dante. So have you all heard of Dante? Dante's audio over IP and is a basic godsend these days for anybody who wants to distribute audio around.
Would you be able to do that sort of complexity without Dante?
You would need an awful lot of hardwired line level feeds coming from boxes to do that. You've still got to get the audio out. You still need to do this thing called de-embedding, taking an audio out from an HDMI or an SDI feed, turning it into Dante. But the beauty of Dante is, once again, once you got it on the network, any Dante device, within reason, can see all the others. So our audio mixer can go, right, I want to take, on a basic level, I want to take those 6 guys from those team, put all that lot together and create one mix. And it's on a fader. So that's that team chat. Before it's just like the amount of sockets you would need. And then comms and things like that. We can, you've got the gamers now. We have to think about game audio is such a big deal for them. When they are competing, they mustn't hear the commentators in the arena. That wouldn't be helpful. It would be helpful for them, not helpful for the competition. Because they're hiding behind a bush somewhere, ready to poke out, and they go, oh, look, little Johnny's, he's hiding behind a bush over there. And then all the others have seen it, and then they all come and creep around and stab him in the back.
Yeah.
So, there's an awful lot to think about between games. Even again, they mustn't hear the commentary. They've no longer got game feed into their ear. They have pink noise. You probably don't realize, but on the big jobs, between games, they've got pink noise going in their ears. So they can't hear what's going on.
Not divas at all.
No, all the time.
Yes, we're not allowed to say that, are we?
But we use Dante. We use, actually, funnily enough, Glen Sound is here. We use Glen Sound kit all the time because it's fantastic for comms. So commentator boxes, Glen Sound commentator boxes. They're what the commentators talking to, funnily enough. But it's just Cat5 cable on the network. We get their feeds, they get in-ear feeds back, and we do the same, try to get everything out of the games, but it's an awful lot to think about how we're getting this audio into the right places, to the right people at the right time. And Dante's the key, but it's a big thing. Sennheiser mics as well we use, funnily enough.
So you're a simpler setup, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're lucky. Like, most of the time, it's guys sat around a table in the studio, or they're sat on a sofa setup. And I think maximum talent that we'll have on most of our shows are 6, for example. Yep. So we're really concentrating when they're doing like a podcast style shoot. It will be around the table with Shure SM7B mics running into a Behringer,
which are lovely mics, by the way.
Yeah, sound beautiful. XR18 mixer. And everything, we don't do anything over IP. Audio-wise, either. It's all hardwire cable.
Yep.
So grab the guys afterwards before they run away for a coffee and take this offline. Thank you very much for listening to Alex and Jon, and I hope you found that really interesting. I know I did. I learned tons from that. So thanks for coming, and there's another talk starting in almost 30 seconds.
Excellent,
so
I've got a job
poor
to do.
Jon will have to immediately jump out of here and mix the audio for that one. But thanks very much for listening.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We'll hang around.
Thanks.